Hi everyone, it's Jenny and Alex reporting for Keep Art It again. We've just come back from Bristol Old Vic, where we watched a production of Romeo and Juliet, which is put on by Young Six Six Theatre Company. This is a theatre ensemble which is based in Bristol. It's Bristol Old Vic linked, and it basically helps young people get into theatre who might otherwise not have. And I've seen two productions by theirs or by them already, and they've both been really, really good. So basically, this production was directed by Corey Campbell, and Midland Arts Magazine has already described it as a love song to Romeo and Juliet, and we are wooed from the first note. Basically, it's the Shakespearean piece first and foremost, but some of the original dialogue has been replaced by original rap and R&B songs. Should we get into what we thought about it, Alex?
Certainly. Never was there a tale with more woe than that of Juliet and her poor Romeo. They did a really, really good job of telling the story. Obviously, it's a story that we are all familiar with because it's deeply entrenched in pop culture. The musical elements really added to the piece, I think. The R&B tracks were reminiscent of acts like Lauryn Hill and 50 Cent, and the rap side really reminded me of people like Scroobius Pip in terms of the delivery and the structure of the raps.
Mm. I really, really enjoyed the music. There was one song in particular, towards fairly towards the end actually, where basically Romeo has made the decision that he wants to buy the poison. Spoiler, sorry. But that song in particular, I really, really enjoyed. It was really cool. It was an ensemble cast. There were about eight of them, I believe.
Hmm.
They also had a full band, which were basically situated above the stage, so you could see them throughout, but they were more dimly lit. Um, you said that you thought the sound of the music
Yeah,
was.
I think this is often a problem in the Bristol Old Vic. Maybe it's just for me and my ears personally, but I always feel like the bands drown out the vocals in these pieces, which is a shame because the lyrics were very clever and helped move the plot forward. In terms of the band, there was a drummer, I think two guitarists, maybe just one guitarist, a violinist, and a trumpet player. And the violin in particular, I thought really added to the melodrama of the overall narrative.
Yeah, that was the first instrument that played, I think. And it was a very good opening actually. In terms of the speech and the lyrics, I do agree. Everything is so kind of fast that you don't pick up on everything, of course. But that's usually the case with Shakespeare anyway, I find, because there's so much being said quite quickly that it's sometimes hard to pick up on the exact meaning of everything.
Mm.
But one thing that we were discussing on the way over that we liked was that they really emphasized certain words and phrases that
Mhm.
made it more obvious what they were talking about in more kind of like layman's terms.
Mm.
And they emphasized a lot of the humor as well, which obviously in a tragedy is quite difficult, but they got.
Yeah, they managed to squeeze every last bit of humor out of the original script, which is good. And there are some great lines. I mean, at the end of the day, Shakespeare is timeless for a reason, and he does have some great lines. One of the cool things I'd like to mention is the staging was really cool. They didn't really have much in terms of props and bits and pieces to use, but they did have kind of a divan like bed situation in the center where a lot of the action took place, especially between Romeo and Juliet. They were falling over each other on the
Not like
divan.
that.
Not like yeah, it wasn't like explicit like some of the plays we've seen at the Bristol Old Vic. It was quite chaste by comparison. But they did have these amazing screens which I've never seen used before. Which were they had them wheeled into either side, and they were only used sparingly. But they were see through. But then they also could broadcast video footage throughout, which is really clever, and I really like the way they use that. One small criticism I would like to make, though, they at the very beginning of the play they made some comparisons to modern political situations in the UK, but then they didn't return to that, and I think that was a mistake. I mean, either include it or don't. Either include it and then have it going through the whole of the piece, or don't include it at all.
Yeah, that is a good point, actually. It was sort of breaking the fourth wall, but for no real purpose, it felt like. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. The interactive screens were really cool though. Like there was a literal interactive element where you could vote via a QR
Oh, yeah,
code for,
Montague or Capulet.
yeah, so Montague won, I believe.
Yes, it did.
I
Who
don't know.
who were Labour in this situation? So I mean, in Bristol, not really surprising that we went for the Liberal option.
That's true. Where were the greens?
Yeah, right.
To give you some final details before we wrap up, this performance is on until the 5th of April, so you've got a little while to go and see it, and I certainly think that you should. Let's go. How many stars would you give it?
Well, I think in terms of productions of Romeo and Juliet that I've seen, this is probably the best one.
Mm.
I've seen quite a few different interpretations of the piece, both very, very literal, normal interpretations and more avant-garde and abstract versions. And I really, really like this. Thoroughly recommend it. It's in two halves as well, which is worth noting because the play is about 2 hours long, but there was an interval after the hour mark.
2 hours 50, including the interval. So yes, it is a Shakespeare play. But yeah, it's definitely the most inventive one I've seen. I would give this one 5 stars. I think it was really good. It's for ages 11 plus. And there are also performances with captioned, audio described, and British Sign Language performances. So it's good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, we appreciate you checking out this video today. Make sure that you like, and if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe. And if you get a chance to see this play, comment below and let us know what you thought.
Tell us thoughts. We want to know. We will be back again very soon.
Yep.
Very soon.
Yeah, another play next
another
week.
review. Yeah. So stay tuned. See you then.
Bye.